I've been thinking lately of what happened to me and what I was going through a couple of years ago. Around, I would say, 3 years back. If I think around 3 years back, if I had killed myself somewhere, you know, I don't think anyone would have known. And it was such a dark period in my life that nothing seemed right. And I fought it, and if I'm being honest, I'm still fighting it. I'm not over it, because it keeps coming back. And 2020 has been a pretty weird year. Right? This is November, almost we are into the mid of November, and I just wanted to sum up everything that happened. And one of the most, I would say, hard-hitting things that came into light this year, but did not get the importance that it deserved or it should have. And I'm not here to give you some scientific facts or anything. I'm just here to talk. I'm just here to share. And we'll look into some data and some articles, because that's what I have been doing regarding depression, regarding suicide, regarding loneliness. I get depressed more often than you might think. I get lonely. I have suicidal thoughts in my head. And when I am like that, the stuff that comes to my mind is, am I the only person, who is suffering from this? And then yesterday I just looked up online. I just typed suicide in India. I just wanted to know, right, what are people going through? What are the rates of suicide in India? And I was shocked about the numbers. I was shocked about how bad this is among Indian youth, especially. Let's just try to see, okay, on Google what comes up when I type suicide India. Okay. So there's an article on India Today, of course. See, recent suicide of the LSR student who did not get scholarship. Just so sad. So there's an article in India Today from September 2nd, 2020. That's 2.5 months way back. It said, and the NCRB report says, more than 90,000 young adults died by suicide in 2019 in India. 90,000 adults died in 1 year. Latest data released by the National Crimes Record Bureau, NCRB, has revealed that more than 1.39 lakh Indians died by suicide in the year 2019. That's last year. Still yet to complete 2020, and I'm pretty sure 2020 is going to be worse because of all the COVID and everything. And it says out of which 67% of which were young adults, people like us. Compared to 2018, numbers of youth suicides in India have risen by 4%. And the overall suicide figures rose by 3.4% in the same time. We are almost in the third decade of the 21st century. And young people, the youngest nation in the world, India, where we are supposedly to lead the world by 2050, are killing ourselves. The rate should reduce, right? Because we are youngsters. We have energy. We have more knowledge than our parents, sometimes I feel, right? We say we are modern. We argue with our parents saying that they don't know the current society. Yet our generation is more depressed. Our generation is more lonely. And our generation is more prone to committing suicide than any other generation that ever lived, I believe. And the data says it. Look at this. Hanging was found to be the most common method of attempting suicide. Around 74,629 people, 53.6% of the entire in 2019, hanged themselves in the year 2019. See this, I'm not trying to milk anything, I'm just stating a fact, okay? In June 14 this year, Bollywood film star Sushant Singh Rajput was found hanging at his apartment in Bandra. Okay? Now, whether the celebrity died or suicide, it's still under investigation. Okay? And I'm no one to judge, put a judgment here. But if it is a suicide, okay, I think the stigma that is around loneliness and depression is further, made worse by, I would say, the irresponsible coverage of the media. I mean, fine, the media fought about a celebrity's death. The media fought about what was right. A lot of things came out about Bollywood, about an actor, about how people were suffering, or how there were drugs in a certain industry. And I am not saying it's correct or it's not. It's up to the people who judge them to decide. But what I am trying to say is, out of all these, right, all this kachara and stuff which were being discussed, the most important factor was left out. Is that what led someone like him to commit suicide, if he did commit a suicide? And what is leading youngsters like us committing to suicide? And why are we not doing anything about it? How can I say that we are not doing anything about it? Because look at the data. It's increasing day by day. If we were doing something about it, it should have decreased. We are in 2020, for God's sake. What drives a person to suicide? Okay. According to the report, it reveals that family issues, love affairs, drug abuse, mental illness appear as the top cause of suicide among the youth. According to the report, among people aged between 18 and below 45, I think that's the majority of our 1.2 billion plus population, family problems were the biggest reported cause of suicide. Of the total 1.39 lakh suicide recorded in the year 2019, roughly 93,016 or 67% were committed by youngsters aged 18 plus and below 45. Out of this, 34% suicide happened because of family problems, 7.3% marriage related issues. Mental illness was a cause of suicide for 7%. Drug abuse or alcohol addiction for 5.6%. And love affairs drove almost 5.2% people to kill themselves. More importantly, the incidence of suicide due to family problems and mental illness is quite high in males. We need to talk about males committing suicide, males being depressed. I think me as a male, I believe we have come a long way where, generally speaking, in terms of the entire world, where it's okay for a man to cry, where it's okay for a man to be vulnerable or sensitive about things. And I'm saying this generally as a civilization. But I don't think it's okay for a man to cry in India even today. We have this ingrained in our head since childhood that men are supposed to be strong. But how do we define strength? We define strength by saying man should not cry, that man should not feel pain, physical or mental, that man should not be sensitive, that man should be manly. That's how we decide the strength of a man. That's how we decide a man is strong or not. Yet, when a man commits suicide, we call him a fucking coward. Isn't it hypocrisy at a world-class level? I mean, you tell males not to share feelings, that you're weak. You complain to your friend saying that my boyfriend is sensitive. I broke up with him because he cries at every other stuff. You leave that person alone because he's not from the gang. He doesn't understand how the world works. He cries at every other thing. He shows emotions. And yet, when he commits suicide, people say he should have expressed. He should have said more. Why do you say these things when people have passed away? Why don't say it when they're alive? Why don't you fucking help them when they need help? It's just so sad. I'm going to show you a very staggering stat, okay? Suicide rate in India. Check this out. Okay? This is from NDTV. It said, India reported an average of 381 deaths by suicide daily in 2019. Daily. Let me just bring it down by calculating. Okay? 381 suicides in 24 hours. That means 381 divided by 24. 15 individuals per hour. Let me divide it even more by 60 seconds. 0.26 per minute. That means almost every 4 minutes, an individual dies by suicide. As we are speaking right now, around 3 to 4 persons have committed suicide. Somewhere in this country, 3 to 4 persons have died. By the time you go to sleep, more than 300 persons will have killed themselves. Like, do you realize how bad the situation is? These numbers are just staggering. I thought last night that my life was bad, that I was the only person going through this. But when I looked at the data, it shocked me and it compelled me to make a video. I don't know if there are people who have shared, who have tried to help. But I think before everything, we need to be aware that this is what is happening. We need to accept that this is the truth. We need to accept that depression, loneliness, suicide rates among youth, among young Indians is increasing day by day because they are not able to speak up. We should ask ourselves that we have this problem in our hands, right? The youngsters of this nation, the people from 18 to 30, are going to lead the country into the next world, into the next generation. People say that India will be a superpower by 2050 because it has the youngest population in the world. I don't think half of the youngest population in the world will be alive by 2050 if we are at this rate, if we do not do anything about it, if we do not do anything about loneliness, if we do not do anything about depression, if we do not do anything about suicide. I'm really scared about the data that will come next year, about 2020. Because of COVID-19, so many youngsters lost their jobs. So many youngsters who were about to get their jobs didn't get their jobs. Who were away from home, living in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, were confined to their apartment during lockdown, were lonely. We human beings are social animals. We need to be around people. And when you are alone, lonely, bad things comes to your mind. A lot of people have fought it. A lot of people have overcome it. But I do not think that that percentage is more than 50%. This has an exponential, or how do I call it, a ripple effect among all the relationships. Let's assume you lost your job. You were a happy going guy. You were 25 years old. You have a high paying job, okay, in a very well to do MNC. And then suddenly COVID-19 strikes and you are locked inside your house for 3 months. You live alone, okay? You contact your family over the phone and then suddenly you are laid off from your work. Because it's understandable, obviously, the companies are trying to save themselves. What happens to you? How this has a ripple effect? Let me explain it to you. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but Some part of it happened to me. Of course, I had my job, thankfully, but it was a combination of a lot of other things. Nonetheless, so you lose your job, you do not know what to do. You cannot go outside to distract yourself. You cannot go out for a drive to distract yourself. You cannot go to the park to distract yourself. You cannot go to the restaurant, to the bar to distract yourself. You are confined in your living room, in your bedroom, and these thoughts come to your mind. Since you are not okay mentally, you pull away from your family because you don't feel like talking. You pull away from your friends because you don't feel like communicating. You pull away from your girlfriend, from your wife, from your husband, from your boyfriend because you don't feel like you deserve to be in the relationships. But I don't think people do that because they want to. Like a person who was happy go lucky last month, out of a sudden becomes this opposite character in 1 month, in 30 days. Something has happened, right? So the people, the individuals, I think you guys who think you are okay mentally, check up. Just check up. What is wrong? If a person who was with you, hanging out with you, laughing and talking all the time, suddenly tells, you know what, I don't want to talk to you. Instead of just telling me, okay, you don't want to talk to me, don't talk to me. Just try to figure out what happened. Because that individual will not directly come and tell you, I need help. Because it's difficult to ask for help. But unknowingly, we do these kind of things because our subconscious mind is asking for help. So try to understand what's going on. The suicide rate among us is so high. Right now, you might be sitting in your living room with your friends, with your family, and someone might be going through depression or loneliness or suicidal tendencies. Do everything. I think we should do everything in our power. I don't think we should look back, in saving 90,000 people a year. No. Let me start by saving one person in my friend circle. Let me try to understand what is going on with him because he's not going to tell me because it's not easy. Trust me, I'm telling you this. It's not easy. If it were easy to share, if it were easy to come out, if it were easy to make you understand, this many people would not have died. And it's becoming harder day by day. And the data tells you that. So until and unless we do not try to understand, until and unless we do not accept depression, loneliness, and suicide as a disease that needs to be cured, we are just doomed. We as a country are losing out on the most important generation. I had the courage today to come out and speak because how I'm feeling in the last couple of months, I don't think a lot many people would have that courage. But you need to give it to them. Because please accept it. No one wakes up in the morning one day and decides, I'm going to end my life. It's months of, weeks of, years of struggle, of tears, of anxiety, of loneliness, of depression. It builds up to a bomb, and one day it just blasts off. And we have to accept it. We have to understand it. And as long as we do not, this rate will just keep increasing day by day. So this is it, to be honest. This is for all the people who are okay mentally, all the people who are healthy mentally. Please accept that not everyone is like you. There are people who are fighting, and we need your support. We need you to acknowledge that what is happening among youth is real. And be it a male or a female or whatever gender he is or she is, they needs support. They need someone who would understand. We are falling into this ditch of ending our lives, and we need someone's hand to hold us and pull us out. So start by acknowledging, by accepting that this is real, this is around you. I beg you, one small talk can save a life. And please save it. I guess that's it.